20 R&B stars you'd never recognize today. Some legends don't fade, they fracture. Their music still echoes, but the stories behind it force us to listen differently. On Black Excellence Legends, we don't just celebrate greatness, we confront it. Tonight's story challenges comfort, loyalty, and memory itself. How do we honor cultural impact when the truth reshapes everything we thought we knew? Stay with us because this isn't about canceling history, it's about understanding it. Watch until the end, share your thoughts in the comments, and decide for yourself where excellence truly ends. Dawn Robinson. Dawn Robinson once stood at the center of a cultural moment that reshaped R&B. As a founding member of En Vogue, her voice carried power, attitude, and emotional precision that defined the sound of early 1990s girl groups. She wasn't just part of the harmony, she was the edge, the tension, the fire that made songs feel alive rather than polished. At the height of En Vogue's success, Robinson helped deliver records that dominated radio, television, and global charts. Fame arrived fast, but stability did not. Creative disagreements, financial frustrations, and shifting industry dynamics slowly fractured what appeared perfect from the outside. When she stepped away, the spotlight dimmed abruptly, and the safety net many assume fame provides was never truly there. Years later, Robinson shocked fans not with a comeback album or reunion tour, but with honesty. She revealed a reality far removed from red carpets, living out of her car, navigating uncertainty with resilience rather than shame. Instead of hiding, she spoke openly, reframing her situation as survival rather than failure. That transparency transformed her public image more than any makeover ever could. Her story exposes an uncomfortable truth about the music business. Success does not guarantee security, and talent alone does not protect artists once the applause fades. Yet Robinson's legacy cannot be erased by hardship. Her influence remains etched into the DNA of modern R&B, echoed in artists who draw strength from authenticity rather than perfection. Chaka Khan. Chaka Khan has never been just a singer. She has been a force. With a voice that could soar, growl, and soothe within the same breath, she earned her crown as the Queen of Funk long before the title became permanent. In the 1970s and 80s, her sound was unmistakable, commanding attention the moment a record began. From her groundbreaking work with Rufus to her solo triumphs, Khan didn't follow trends, she bent them. Songs like I'm Every Woman and Ain't Nobody weren't simply hits, they became cultural touchstones, echoing through decades of R&B, pop, and dance music. Her presence felt eternal, almost untouched by time. That illusion shattered for many fans when she re-emerged years later with a dramatically altered appearance. The transformation sparked shock, speculation, and endless commentary. But behind the headlines was a far more human story. Facing serious health challenges, including diabetes and high blood pressure, Khan chose survival over image. Her physical change wasn't reinvention for applause. It was a fight for longevity. Public reaction was divided. Some struggled to reconcile the new version of Chaka Khan with the larger-than-life figure etched into their memories. Others saw strength in her honesty, recognizing that evolution doesn't require permission. Through it all, her voice remained intact, rich, expressive, and unmistakably hers. Unlike many legends who quietly retreat, Khan continued to perform, reminding audiences that artistry is not erased by age or transformation. Her legacy lives not only in awards and chart positions, but in the freedom she represents. The right to change without apology. Tevin Campbell. Tevin Campbell entered the music world with a gift that felt almost unreal. As a teenager, his voice carried a maturity far beyond his years. Clear, controlled, and emotionally precise. While most artists spent decades chasing credibility, Campbell achieved it before adulthood, becoming one of R&B's most recognizable young talents of the early 1990s. His rise was swift and dazzling, Surrounded by elite producers and industry insiders, he delivered songs that became staples of the era, capturing vulnerability without losing confidence. Fans didn't just hear him, they trusted him. Every performance suggested a long future filled with evolution and dominance. Then, almost without warning, the trajectory changed. Legal trouble and relentless scrutiny cracked the carefully crafted image that had followed him since childhood. Unlike artists who rebound loudly, Campbell withdrew. The absence felt louder than scandal itself. No public reinvention, no dramatic explanations, just silence. For years, his name existed more in memory than in motion. While R&B continued to evolve, Campbell remained frozen in time for many listeners, eternally associated with youthful brilliance. Yet stepping away may have been an act of preservation rather than defeat. Fame had arrived too early, before identity had fully formed. In later moments when Campbell resurfaced, it wasn't as a chart contender, but as a reminder. His voice, unchanged in tone, proved that talent does not expire simply because attention shifts elsewhere. What altered was visibility, not ability. Erykah Badu. Erykah Badu never fit neatly into the frame the industry tried to build around her. From the moment she emerged, her presence felt intentional, unrushed, unconventional, and deeply rooted in self-expression. She wasn't chasing stardom, she was constructing a world, and listeners were invited inside. At her peak, Badu defined the sound and spirit of neo-soul. Her music moved with patience, blending vulnerability, introspection, and quiet rebellion. Success followed, but she treated it as a byproduct rather than a destination. While peers adjusted their images to remain visible, Badu chose expansion over repetition. As years passed, she became less predictable to the mainstream eye. New releases arrived on her own timeline, collaborations crossed genres and generations, and public appearances felt ceremonial rather than promotional. To casual observers, it appeared she had faded. In reality, she had simply stepped off the conveyor belt of expectation. What makes Badu unrecognizable today isn't age or transformation. It's her refusal to perform familiarity. She abandoned the polished persona fans once expected, replacing it with radical authenticity. Fashion became ritual. Performance became philosophy. Silence became power. Her influence, however, never diminished. Artists continue to echo her approach to freedom, presence, and creative autonomy. She exists as a reference point rather than a competitor, shaping culture without demanding attention. D'Angelo. D'Angelo arrived as a quiet revolution. Without spectacle or excess, he reshaped modern soul by slowing everything down: rhythm, delivery, expectation. His sound felt handmade, imperfect in the most deliberate way, restoring intimacy to an era chasing volume. Early acclaim came fast, yet comfort never followed. Behind the acclaim lived exhaustion, isolation, and an uneasy relationship with visibility. As admiration intensified, so did pressure. Rather than adapt, D'Angelo retreated. Years passed without releases, appearances, or explanations. The silence grew mythic, turning absence into its own narrative. During that long withdrawal, rumors replaced facts. Some assumed collapse, others imagined fear. The truth, when revealed, was more human. Rebuilding from strain, confronting addiction, reclaiming authorship over life as much as art. The spotlight had taken more than it gave. When he finally returned, the comeback refused nostalgia. The music was denser, darker, politically alert, unconcerned with replaying former glory. He didn't reintroduce himself. He continued where he left off, older, sharper, and uninterested in permission. Listeners had to meet him on new ground. Today, D'Angelo is unrecognizable because he rejected the loop that consumes prodigies. He chose irregular output over constant presence, substance over saturation. His influence persists not through frequency, but through gravity, felt in phrasing, groove, and restraint across generations. Faith Evans. Faith Evans built her legacy without spectacle. While others relied on controversy or constant reinvention, she anchored herself in voice, warm, disciplined, and unmistakably human. From the beginning, her singing carried emotional authority rather than excess, making her presence feel trustworthy in an unpredictable industry. Her early success placed her at the center of one of hip-hop and R&B's most turbulent eras. Yet instead of allowing surrounding chaos to define her, Evans chose steadiness. She sang about devotion, heartbreak, forgiveness, and endurance, never losing clarity even when personal tragedy unfolded in public view. Where many were consumed by the moment, she endured it. As trends shifted, Evans resisted chasing relevance. She didn't reshape her sound to mirror younger movements or dilute her style for algorithms. Instead, she leaned deeper into musicianship, touring consistently, nurturing vocal integrity, and honoring the craft rather than the spotlight. This quiet consistency made her less visible to casual audiences, but more respected by peers. What makes Faith Evans unrecognizable today is not a dramatic transformation, but her refusal to participate in spectacle. In an era defined by virality, she represents continuity. Her artistry matured without noise, evolving in texture rather than identity. The voice remains familiar, even as the industry around it changes rapidly. Her influence is felt in restraint, phrasing, and emotional precision across contemporary R&B singers who prioritize feeling over flash. Evans stands as proof that longevity doesn't require reinvention every season. Sometimes it demands patience. Maxwell. Maxwell emerged not as a spectacle, but as an atmosphere. His arrival reshaped contemporary R&B by prioritizing mood, patience, and intimacy over immediacy. Rather than commanding attention, he invited listeners closer, creating a connection that felt private even when shared by millions. At the height of his success, Maxwell resisted acceleration. While the industry rewarded constant output, he embraced intervals, long pauses that confused casual fans but protected his creative center. Each return felt intentional, measured, and emotionally calibrated, as if silence were part of the composition itself. This restraint altered public perception. As newer voices crowded the spotlight, Maxwell seemed to drift from view. Yet absence never equaled disengagement. He refined rather than expanded, choosing refinement over repetition. The sound matured quietly, informed by life rather than trends. What renders Maxwell unrecognizable today is not age or reinvention, but his refusal to behave like a product. He declined the cycle of oversharing, preserving mystery in a culture addicted to access. Performances remained elegant, vocals controlled, presentation understated. Nothing chased validation. His influence is woven into modern R&B's softer edges. The return of falsetto, the embrace of sensual subtlety, the confidence to slow down. Artists borrow the feeling without replicating the discipline that sustained it. Monica's voice arrived before her childhood had time to finish. Thrust into the spotlight at an age when most lives are still unformed, she carried emotional weight far beyond her years. Her delivery wasn't decorative, it was grounded, resolute, and unmistakably sincere. Audiences didn't hear a girl, they heard conviction. Early success cemented her as a defining presence in 1990s R&B. Songs about loyalty, heartbreak, and self-respect resonated precisely because they felt lived in, not performed. Yet growing up in public reshapes perception. As years passed, Monica didn't freeze in nostalgia or chase reinvention. She matured openly, allowing life to leave marks on both her voice and her image. Industry shifts tested her relevance. Changing trends, shifting radio priorities, and the pressure to compete with younger stars challenged her visibility. Instead of reshaping herself to fit new cycles, Monica doubled down on authenticity. Her tone deepened, her phrasing sharpened, and her presence became more commanding rather than louder. What makes Monica unrecognizable today isn't transformation, it's continuity. She no longer reflects the teenage prodigy fans remember, but a woman who endured growth without erasure. Fame didn't swallow her identity, it sharpened it. She evolved in strength, not spectacle. Her influence echoes through artists who value emotional clarity and vocal discipline over theatrics. Monica represents survival without retreat, maturity without apology. She remained visible without becoming performative. Usher didn't simply grow up in the public eye, he mastered it. Entering the industry as a teenager, he evolved in real time, learning how to balance vulnerability, precision, and spectacle. Where others faded after their youth moment, Usher learned how to transform without erasing his foundation. His early years framed him as a gifted vocalist with undeniable charm. Then came reinvention. He sharpened his image, expanded into dance, and absorbed influences from hip-hop, pop, and club culture without losing emotional control. Each era felt distinct yet connected, allowing him to remain present as trends shifted rapidly. What followed was not a single peak, but a sequence of recalibrations. Usher adjusted to new audiences, new sounds, and new platforms. He didn't resist change, he studied it. That adaptability kept him visible, but it also blurred the original silhouette fans once recognized. The boy became a performer, then a brand, then a veteran craftsman. Today, Usher is unrecognizable because he has lived multiple artistic lives. The raw romantic, the club architect, the polished showman, each phase replaced the last before nostalgia could settle. Longevity demanded motion, yet beneath the evolution, discipline remained constant. Vocal control, stage command, and an instinct for timing anchored every shift. While controversies and public scrutiny surfaced along the way, they never fully defined him. The work always pulled focus back. Lauryn Hill didn't fade from the spotlight, she stepped away from it while standing at its highest point. Few artists have reached such cultural authority so quickly, blending lyrical intelligence, vocal range, and spiritual clarity into a body of work that felt definitive rather than trendy. At her peak, Hill became more than a performer. She represented conscience, depth, and refusal. Her music confronted love, identity, faith, and social responsibility with precision that demanded attention rather than applause. Success followed immediately, but comfort never seemed to accompany it. What came next confounded the industry. Instead of capitalizing endlessly on acclaim, Hill withdrew. Releases slowed. Appearances became rare and unpredictable. The silence frustrated audiences trained to expect access, yet it signaled something deliberate. She rejected the idea that visibility equaled ownership. Over time, public perception hardened. Delays, cancellations, and reclusive behavior overshadowed her influence for many casual observers. But beneath the criticism remained an artist unwilling to dilute meaning for convenience. Hill refused repetition, even when repetition promised safety. Today, Lauryn Hill is unrecognizable, not because she changed too much, but because she changed the rules. She declined to package herself for permanence. Her voice, when heard, still carries weight, but it arrives on her terms, not the world's schedule. Her legacy persists quietly yet forcefully. Entire generations cite her as foundation rather than nostalgia. She exists outside cycles, beyond eras, untouched by urgency. Mary J. Blige. Mary J. Blige didn't just sing about pain, she translated it. From the start, her voice carried lived experience, not metaphor. Each note felt worn, tested, and honest, forging a bond with listeners who heard their own struggles reflected back at them. Her rise reshaped R&B by allowing vulnerability to stand at the center. Blige didn't polish hardship into fantasy. She exposed it. Love was complicated. Strength was conditional. Healing was unfinished. That raw transparency became her signature, separating her from performers who chased perfection. As success grew, so did pressure. Public relationships, internal battles, and emotional exhaustion unfolded in plain sight. Rather than retreat, Blige kept moving forward, allowing transformation to occur in real time. Her music shifted from survival to reclamation, from endurance to self-definition. What makes Mary J. Blige unrecognizable today isn't distance from her past. It's how completely she moved through it. The wounded woman became a figure of command. Confidence replaced collapse. Control replaced chaos. The voice remained textured, but its weight changed. She expanded beyond music without abandoning it, stepping into acting and leadership while maintaining creative authority. Each chapter added dimension instead of dilution. Blige didn't rewrite her story. She continued it with intention. Her influence lives in artists who center emotional truth without apology. She proved that growth doesn't require erasure, only honesty and persistence. Reinvention in her case meant healing out loud. Bobby Brown. Bobby Brown was never designed for restraint. From the moment he stepped away from group harmony into solo chaos, his presence rewrote the rules of male R&B stardom. He didn't glide, he detonated. Where others chased smoothness, Brown delivered volatility. His performances crackled with swagger, risk, and raw impulse. Dance wasn't choreography, it was confrontation. Vocals weren't polished pleas, they were declarations of will. That unpredictability became his signature, separating him from every peer of his era. Success arrived fast and loudly. With it came excess, defiance, and a public persona that blurred genius with self-destruction. Bobby didn't hide his flaws, he broadcast them. Fame amplified every misstep, turning private battles into cultural spectacle. For many, the headlines eclipse the music, yet strip away the noise, and his influence remains undeniable. Brown fused street energy with pop accessibility, laying groundwork for generations of performers who followed. His sound shaped an entire movement, pushing R&B toward rhythm-driven bravado without sacrificing emotional edge. Time transformed perception. The reckless young icon aged into a survivor, marked by loss, reflection, and endurance. The fire didn't disappear, it changed temperature. Experience replaced impulse. Presence replaced chaos. Today, Bobby Brown may look unfamiliar to those who remember only the excess. But the evolution tells a fuller story. He wasn't built to be perfect. He was built to be catalytic. Ginuwine. Ginuwine emerged in the late 1990s as a carefully calibrated sensation. His appeal wasn't accidental. It was engineered through atmosphere, restraint, and mood. Rather than overpowering vocals or explosive movement, he relied on tension, letting silence and rhythm do half the work. His early success redefined modern sensuality in R&B. Songs felt intimate without being loud, confident without aggression. Backed by innovative production, Ginuwine's presence felt futuristic, sleek, and emotionally controlled. He wasn't selling fantasy, he was selling feeling. As trends shifted, so did his trajectory. The sonic landscape that once amplified his subtlety evolved toward louder, faster aesthetics. Without that same minimalist framing, his style felt increasingly tied to a specific era. Reinvention became more challenging than repetition. Away from the charts, Ginuwine explored visibility in different forms. Reality television, guest appearances, and nostalgic performances kept his name circulating, but altered public perception. The mystique that once defined him gradually gave way to familiarity. That transformation is what makes him difficult to recognize today. The reserved romantic figure became a more accessible, exposed personality. Mystery was replaced by presence, distance by dialogue. It wasn't decline, it was repositioning. Despite shifts in relevance, his influence remains embedded in contemporary R&B. Many artists borrowed his measured delivery, emotional economy, and reliance on groove over spectacle. His work helped normalize a quieter kind of confidence. Toni Braxton. Toni Braxton entered popular music with a voice that felt inevitable. Deep, controlled, and unmistakably resonant, it carried emotional gravity that didn't need embellishment. From her earliest recordings, restraint became her power, allowing silence and tone to speak louder than excess. Her ascent was swift, driven by ballads that felt timeless rather than trendy. Romance in her music wasn't dramatized, it was internalized. Heartbreak arrived measured, mature, and dignified. That composure set her apart in an industry often drawn to spectacle. Behind the elegance, however, instability quietly unfolded. Contractual limitations, financial strain, and health challenges interrupted momentum. Long gaps between releases created the illusion of disappearance, even as her artistry continued evolving outside the mainstream spotlight. When Braxton re-emerged, perception had shifted. Trends favored brighter tones and digital immediacy, while her sound remained rooted in warmth and patience. The contrast made her presence feel almost classical, as if she belonged to a different musical era. This is why Toni Braxton can feel unrecognizable today, not because her essence changed, but because the world around her did. The culture accelerated, she remained deliberate. The market chased noise, she offered space. Rather than chase relevance, Braxton expanded her narrative. Acting, television, and personal storytelling revealed dimensions beyond the microphone. Vulnerability replaced distance, transforming her image from untouchable icon to resilient survivor. Her influence persists in vocalists who value control over volume and depth over display. Toni Braxton stands as proof that longevity doesn't require reinvention through trend, only commitment to truth. Chris Brown. Chris Brown entered the music world as a phenomenon built on precision. His talent arrived fully formed. Voice, movement, timing, and charisma aligned with rare ease. From the beginning, he wasn't simply marketed as a singer, but as a complete performance instrument. Early success positioned him as the natural heir to pop R&B stardom. Youthful confidence, athletic choreography, and melodic instinct made his rise feel inevitable. Hits came quickly, reinforcing an image of limitless momentum. Then perception fractured. Public controversy reshaped the narrative surrounding his name, dividing attention between artistry and behavior. The conversation shifted, and with it, his visibility changed. For some, the music became inseparable from the headlines. For others, the talent remained undeniable. What followed was not disappearance, but saturation. Brown released music relentlessly, flooding the landscape with volume, versatility, and stylistic reach. Instead of chasing approval, he doubled down on productivity, carving space through sheer output. The result was paradoxical: omnipresent yet distanced, dominant yet debated. Today, Chris Brown feels unrecognizable not because he lacks relevance, but because his identity resists simplicity. He exists in contradiction, technically elite, culturally polarizing, commercially resilient. His artistry evolved while public consensus never settled. He expanded his sound across genres, collaborating widely, absorbing trends without surrendering technical command. Dance remained central, but expression matured from spectacle into endurance. JoJo entered the spotlight before she had time to understand it. Her voice, far older than her age, carried confidence, clarity, and emotional command that stunned audiences. Fame arrived early, fast, and loudly, too early to be navigated on her own terms. As a teenager, she represented possibility. Youth and technical strength coexisted effortlessly, making her seem unstoppable. Yet behind the momentum, control slipped away. industry constraints froze her progress at the height of expectation, turning silence into her most defining chapter. For years, JoJo existed without visibility, not due to absence of talent, but absence of access. While peers evolved publicly, she was forced into waiting, growing privately as an artist and as a person. That enforced stillness reshaped her relationship with music. When she returned, the transformation was striking. The voice remained powerful, but perspective had changed. Innocence gave way to intention. Emotion became layered, self-aware, and deliberate. She no longer sang to prove ability, she sang to reclaim ownership. This is why JoJo feels unrecognizable today. Not because she lost her essence, but because she rebuilt it. The child prodigy dissolved into an autonomous creator. Control replaced confinement. Choice replaced limitation. Her later work favored intimacy over spectacle, honesty over perfection. She embraced vulnerability as strength, redefining success beyond charts or nostalgia. The spotlight was no longer the goal. Expression was. KCI. Casey was never just a singer. He was an instrument of raw emotion. From the moment his voice emerged, it carried gospel fire, unfiltered pain, and a spiritual intensity that few performers could replicate. He didn't polish feelings, he released them. As the emotional core of Jodeci and later one half of Casey and JoJo, his delivery redefined male R&B in the 1990s. Every note felt lived in. Every lyric sounded like confession. Fans didn't just hear Casey, they felt exposed by him. That vulnerability became his signature and his burden. Success arrived fast, but balance never followed. The same intensity that fueled unforgettable performances also pushed him beyond limits. Physical strain, personal battles, and exhaustion slowly reshaped his presence. Over time, the voice that once soared effortlessly began to carry the weight of everything he had endured. When audiences encountered Casey years later, the contrast was startling. The image had changed. The sound had roughened. The invincibility was gone. Yet something deeper had taken its place. Restraint, control, survival. Today's Casey is not defined by dominance, but by endurance. He no longer chases perfection or recreates the past. Instead, he honors it carefully, performing with awareness of what his voice has already given. The fire remains, but it burns differently, steadier, wiser, contained. This is why many barely recognize him now. Not because the legend faded, but because it evolved. Casey became proof that soul music extracts a price and that longevity demands adaptation. Brandy Norwood emerged as an anomaly, a teenager with the discipline, tone, and technical precision of a veteran. Her voice didn't chase volume or dramatics. It moved with control, restraint, and architectural harmony. She didn't overpower songs, she built them. During the 1990s, Brandy became a blueprint. Her layered vocals quietly reshaped modern R&B, influencing generations without demanding attention. While others relied on charisma, she relied on structure. Every harmony was deliberate, every phrase intentional. Yet that subtle mastery often went unnoticed. Publicly, she was framed as flawless. Privately, the pressure of perfection created distance. Expectations froze her inside an image that allowed little room for missteps, growth, or contradiction. As trends shifted towards spectacle, Brandy's precision was mistaken for passivity. Time altered her visibility, not her skill. Personal setbacks and industry shifts softened her dominance, but deepened her artistry. When audiences looked for reinvention through shock, Brandy chose refinement. Her sound matured inward, becoming darker, more reflective, and emotionally complex. Today, many struggle to recognize her, not because her talent diminished, but because her approach resisted noise. She never chased relevance, she waited for resonance. The quiet confidence that once defined her youth now defines her endurance. Brandy exists outside urgency. Her influence lives in the voices that followed, in techniques absorbed and normalized without credit. She stands not as a relic, but as a reference point, an artist whose impact is measured in echoes rather than headlines. Sisqó was never subtle. From the moment he stepped into the spotlight, he treated R&B like spectacle. Bold color, exaggerated motion, and unapologetic confidence. While others focused on mood, he focused on impact. He didn't blend in, he detonated. As the most recognizable face of Dru Hill, his high-registered delivery and elastic charisma turned songs into events. Then came his solo explosion, when image and sound fused into something unavoidable. His presence became larger than the music itself, dominating screens, conversations, and pop culture memory. But extremes invite exhaustion. The same intensity that pushed Sisqó to the forefront also narrowed the space he could exist within. When trends cooled and novelty faded, there was little room left to recalibrate. Audiences moved on faster than expectations could adjust. Time softened the contrast. Without the neon armor and shock value framing, Sisqó's later appearances surprised fans. The theatrics had faded. The silhouette changed, the energy redirected inward. What remained was a capable vocalist, shaped by experience rather than excess. This shift made him difficult to place. He no longer fit the caricature that once defined him, nor did he chase reinvention through imitation. Instead, he settled into consistency, touring, mentoring, and performing without spectacle. Sisqó today feels unrecognizable because the exaggeration disappeared. Stripped of excess, he became human again. The performance gave way to presence. R. Kelly once occupied a rare position in modern music. A songwriter, producer, and performer whose influence shaped decades of R&B. His ability to craft melodies that blended intimacy with mass appeal made his work omnipresent. For years, his sound defined emotional language on the radio. That dominance created distance. Power insulated him. Success blurred boundaries. As his catalog expanded, scrutiny followed, slowly dismantling the separation between the art and the individual behind it. What once felt untouchable became increasingly questioned. The public reckoning did not arrive suddenly. It unfolded through years of allegations, investigations, and testimonies that reshaped how audiences processed his legacy. Songs that once symbolized romance became complicated artifacts, burdened by context and consequence. Today, R. Kelly is unrecognizable, not because time altered his appearance, but because accountability altered perception. His name no longer evokes creativity or innovation, but caution. The transformation is not physical, it is moral and cultural. Unlike artists who faded quietly or reinvented themselves, his exit from public favor was definitive. The industry moved on. Collaborations disappeared. Celebration turned into removal. What remained was an uncomfortable question. How does society reconcile artistic impact with irreversible harm? His story stands as a warning rather than a mystery. Talent without restraint corrodes. Influence without responsibility collapses. R. Kelly's transformation illustrates how legacy can be dismantled, not by age or relevance, but by truth. R. Kelly was once untouchable, a musical architect whose songs shaped how love, desire, and vulnerability sounded in R&B for decades. His influence was undeniable, his catalog unavoidable. But history does not freeze at success. As revelations emerged, admiration collided with accountability, forcing audiences to confront an uncomfortable divide between talent and truth. Today, his legacy exists in fragments, melodies remembered, meanings questioned, praise withdrawn. The music still plays, but the context has changed forever. So the question remains, can artistic greatness survive moral collapse? Or does true excellence demand both brilliance and responsibility?